You don't make a woman want intimacy by pushing for it. You make her want intimacy when you stop trying to pull it out of her. That's the truth most men never hear. And once you see it, everything changes. Because desire doesn't respond to effort. It responds to emotional safety mixed with tension. If you've ever felt close to a woman, yet she keeps pulling away when things should naturally deepen, this is why. You're not unattractive. You're not doing nothing. You're doing one thing too much. You're chasing closeness instead of letting it come to you. Here's the reality most men miss. Intimacy is not something a woman gives because you earned enough points. It's something her body and emotions open up to when she feels relaxed, chosen, and free. When she feels pressured, even gently, her desire shuts down. Not because she doesn't like you, but because her nervous system feels watched. Think about it. The moments she leaned in the most were never when you asked for more. They were moments when you were calm, grounded, present, not waiting for anything. That's where intimacy starts. Most men are taught that showing desire clearly will create desire back. So they compliment more, text faster, explain their feelings, try to be reassuring. But female desire doesn't grow from reassurance alone. It grows from space, not distance. Space. Space gives her room to feel her own wanting, and wanting feels powerful to her. Here's the psychological shift. A woman wants intimacy when she feels it's her choice, not your request. When she feels she's moving toward you emotionally, not being pulled. That's why pushing for closeness too early kills attraction. It removes her role in choosing. And without choice, there is no desire. This is where most men get confused. They think pulling back means being cold. It doesn't. It means being emotionally solid without leaning on her response. When you're okay whether she opens up or not, something changes in her. She relaxes. She stops guarding. She starts noticing her own feelings more clearly. Because now there's no pressure to perform. Women don't open to intimacy when they feel evaluated. They open when they feel safe enough to drop the mask. And safety doesn't come from words. It comes from how you hold yourself. Your tone. Your patience. Your ability to let silence exist without filling it. When you're comfortable in silence, she starts talking more. When you're not rushing intimacy, she starts thinking about it. This is the first trigger most men miss. Self-contained presence. Not needing anything from her in that moment. The irony is brutal. The less you try to make intimacy happen, the more it wants to happen. Because desire is a response, not a reward. If you're always available emotionally, always checking, always adjusting to her mood, she feels you leaning. And leaning creates pressure. But when you have your own center, your own pace, your own life, she feels something rare. Stability without control. That combination is magnetic. This is why men who seem relaxed, even slightly detached, often create more desire. Not because they don't care, but because they're not trying to take. They're allowing. And allowing feels safe. If you've been overlooked, ignored, or slowly pushed into the nice guy corner, this is likely where it started. You tried to secure intimacy instead of letting attraction do its job. Nothing is wrong with wanting closeness. What matters is how you carry that want. Carry it quietly, confidently, without expectation. Now next, I'll break down the exact emotional shifts that make a woman move from comfort to craving intimacy with you, without you ever asking for it. Here's where things get uncomfortable for most men. Because this part isn't about what you say. It's about what you stop doing. The first emotional shift happens when you stop trying to prove you're worthy of intimacy. Women don't feel drawn to men who are auditioning. They feel drawn to men who already feel complete. When you explain yourself too much, justify your intentions, or rush to show how serious you are, she doesn't feel closer. She feels responsible. And responsibility kills desire. The moment she feels like she has to manage your feelings, intimacy shuts down. Her body goes into control mode, not connection mode. So the shift is simple, but hard. You stop seeking emotional permission. You don't ask, is this okay? Do you like this? Are we good? Not because you don't care, but because you trust your presence. That trust is felt immediately. The second shift is emotional pacing. Most men move emotionally faster than women feel safe doing. They open up quickly. attach quickly, want clarity quickly. But female intimacy grows in waves, not straight lines. When you slow your emotional pace, she feels like she can breathe. She doesn't feel chased by a future conversation she's not ready for yet. And when she can breathe, her desire deepens. The third shift is silence. Silence scares men because it feels like loss of control. But silence is where her imagination turns on. When you don't immediately fill gaps with words, she starts filling them with thoughts. About you, about how she feels, about why she misses your energy. Silence creates space for desire to echo. This doesn't mean disappearing. It means not over-communicating. There's a calm confidence in saying less and meaning it. The fourth shift is emotional leadership. This is misunderstood. It's not dominance. It's direction. When you're emotionally steady, even when she's unsure, she feels held, not controlled. Held. If she pulls back, you don't panic. If she opens up, you don't rush. You stay the same. That consistency tells her something deep. You're safe here. And safety is the doorway to intimacy. The fifth shift is self-respect. Women feel desire most strongly for men who don't abandon themselves to be liked. When you say no calmly, when you don't drop your boundaries for attention, when your life doesn't stop waiting for her reply, she feels it, because now she's not the center of your world. She's a part of it. That distinction matters more than men realize. When a woman senses that you enjoy her, but don't need her to feel whole, something flips inside her. She leans in emotionally, not because she's losing you, but because she's choosing you. And choice is everything. This is where intimacy begins to feel natural instead of forced, unspoken instead of negotiated. If this feels hard, that's normal. Most men were never taught this. Now, we'll talk about the emotional pain underneath chasing intimacy and why letting go of that pressure actually brings women closer instead of farther away. If you're honest, the urge to chase intimacy doesn't come from desire. It comes from fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of being replaced. Fear that if you don't lock it in now, it'll disappear. That fear is quiet, but women feel it. Not logically, emotionally. And when she feels it, her body pulls back before her mind even knows why. This is the part most men never face. The need for reassurance. You don't chase intimacy because you want closeness. You chase it because you're trying to calm uncertainty inside yourself. And that's human. It doesn't make you weak. But it does change how she experiences you. When your calm depends on her response, she feels pressure. When your confidence rises and falls with her attention, she feels watched. That doesn't create desire. It creates emotional weight. So here's the deeper shift. You stop using her reactions to regulate your self-worth. You don't need her to text back fast to feel okay. You don't need clarity today to feel grounded. You don't need intimacy right now to feel chosen. When you hold your own center, she feels free. Freedom is intoxicating. This is why women often desire men who seem emotionally steady even when things are uncertain. Those men aren't attached. They're anchored. They don't reach for reassurance. They let attraction breathe. Here's something men rarely hear. A woman wants intimacy most when she feels emotionally safe, not emotionally claimed. Being claimed feels like obligation. Being safe feels like choice. When you stop trying to secure the connection, she starts exploring her feelings inside it. That's the paradox. If you've been hurt before, this is especially hard. Your body remembers rejection. It wants protection. So you lean forward emotionally, hoping closeness will protect you from loss. But closeness doesn't protect you. Self-trust does. When you trust that you'll be okay whether she stays or not, your energy changes. Your voice slows. Your reactions soften. And she feels it. This is where men who are overlooked start becoming magnetic. Not because they changed their personality, but because they stopped trying to be chosen. They chose themselves first. That doesn't mean indifference. It means presence without attachment to outcome. Women feel deeply drawn to that state because it mirrors emotional maturity. And emotional maturity signals safety, strength, and depth. If you've ever noticed a woman opening up after you stopped trying so hard, this is why. She finally felt no emotional demand. Demand suffocates desire. Allowance invites it. So now, I'll show you how this shift flips the power dynamic quietly, without games, and how focusing on your growth instead of her response creates the kind of intimacy that lasts. Here's where everything comes together. When you stop chasing intimacy, you don't lose power. You gain it. Not power over her. Power over yourself. And that's the kind that changes how women feel around you. The shift is subtle. You're no longer reacting to her moods. You're no longer adjusting your value based on her attention. You show up the same whether she leans in or pulls back. That steadiness does something deep. It creates contrast. She starts to feel the space you're not filling. And in that space, desire grows. This is what silence actually does. It doesn't punish. It reveals. When you stop over-explaining, she starts wondering. When you stop chasing clarity, she starts seeking it. Not because she's losing you, but because she's finally feeling herself. This is what men misunderstand about leveling up. It's not about becoming cold or distant. It's about becoming full. A full life. A full sense of self. A calm nervous system. When your days aren't centered around waiting for her, your presence becomes lighter, more grounded, more attractive. Women feel that instantly. Because now, being close to you doesn't feel like responsibility. It feels like relief. This is why self-respect changes everything. When you don't beg for time, when you don't negotiate for attention, when you don't trade your boundaries for affection, you communicate something powerful without saying a word. I value myself. And people treat you according to that signal. If she took you for granted before, this is when regret can show up. Not dramatic regret, quiet regret. She notices your energy is different. She feels less in control of the dynamic. Not because you're playing games, but because you stopped handing control away. And here's the truth that matters most. Whether she comes closer or not, you win. Because you're no longer shrinking to be chosen. You're expanding to be real. That's the foundation of lasting intimacy. Not tactics, not pressure, not persuasion. Presence. If you're overlooked right now, don't chase. Ground yourself. Build your life. Hold your center. The right kind of intimacy doesn't need to be asked for. It shows up naturally when you're no longer trying to force it. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Where in your life are you reaching for closeness instead of allowing it? Think about it. And if this resonated, share your thoughts below. You don't need to force anything. If this gave you clarity, sit with it. Maybe watch it again later. If it helped, tap like so more men hear this. Subscribe if you want grounded conversations like this. And tell me in the comments, what changed for you?